I can see a team that is in dire straits going out and trying to pick up Trey Lance as just a swing at something, but I don't think that makes sense for the Vikings.
NFL Network's Tom Pelissero for Wednesday reported that the 49ers have named Brock Purdy as the team's starting quarterback, with former Jets and Panthers quarterback Sam Darnold being named the backup, which means Trey Lance is not in the starting or backup picture for San Francisco. Pelissero reported San Francisco is exploring options for the former number 3 overall pick Trey Lance. There's been plenty of speculation in the past about the Vikings and Lance. If the 49ers are indeed ready to move on from the Minnesota native, should the Vikings, with their own quarterback future up in the air after 2023, give the Niners a call about Trey Lance?
In my opinion, no, they shouldn't. I don't think that there's a whole lot of history to suggest that when a team bails this early on a top draft pick, that player ever turns it around. I mean, Sam Darnold, as you mentioned, is the backup of the San Francisco 49ers. The Carolina Panthers tried this. We also saw Miami give up a second round pick a few years ago for Josh Rosen, who I believe is currently out of the NFL. This is a thing that teams talk themselves into. It's not that new. Rick Meyer was once traded for a first round pick, for those fans who have been around a while, and by the Chicago Bears, and that didn't work out for them either. Every so often, there will be a player who 10 years later, 5 years later, pops up. And maybe if it's going to be someone, it's Trey Lance, because he's just played so little football. But he has been around the San Francisco organization for years now. No one would know better than Kyle Shanahan, one of the best coaches in the entire NFL when it comes to quarterbacks and offense, whether a quarterback can play or not. And from a small sample size of even just preseason games, you can see that he just has a lot of trouble identifying where he's supposed to go with the football, which I think we saw last year, even when he was practicing against the Minnesota Vikings at TCO Performance Center. The ball very rarely came out in the right places. And I think that 2020 draft is going to be looked back on a lot for those quarterbacks, but it was a hard situation for San Francisco. He has amazing tools, but they had such a tiny sample of actually watching him play in college because he missed an entire year due to COVID. So they may have misevaluated him, and they may have known this for a while now, that he wasn't really going to compete for this job. And I can see a team that is in dire straits going out and trying to pick up Trey Lance as just a swing at something, but I don't think that makes sense for the Vikings, because they're in a position to let Cousins play it out and then draft their own quarterback and try to develop that player, or have that opening for the next quarterback. So, I mean, you could say, all right, well, why not throw a 5th round pick at it? And I understand that logic, but I think the chances that he turns out to be good after this start are so low compared with spending any sort of draft capital to trade for him, and the fact that by the time you're able to get him in, keep him for this year and develop him, his rookie contract will be over. And that's the biggest advantage of having someone like him, even if he's not perfect. So I think for the Vikings, this is not a very good fit. It's probably a good fit for, honestly, the team that they're playing in week 1, a team like Tampa Bay that has no answer at quarterback whatsoever. But the Vikings also don't need the distraction. They've had a good camp. I think they're ready to fight for a playoff spot. You trade for Trey Lance, you become the center of the NFL world going into week 1 because you just made a move for a quarterback.
That's been another Purple Insider Extra for Bring Me the Sports. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the Purple Insider Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Talk to you next time.